So what we're going to talk about today is my approach to LinkedIn is going to be different than what you've heard from other career people that work with job seekers and things like that. I approach LinkedIn from a business development, B2B. So you are the product, you are the service, and you are using LinkedIn to reach your ideal prospects, whether that be to get consulting work or to get hired by a company. But I'm going to talk in that mindset. So just bear with me here. So the other thing is I'm not releasing the presentation to anybody. I think there'll be a recording that Lou will share, but I encourage you to take screenshots and put little cameras around. So when there's something there, feel free to take screenshots. Okay. All right. So what we're going to cover is now, it's a little bit misleading. You can't master LinkedIn in a 1-hour session. Okay. It's something that's not realistic, but I can give you some hacks and I can make you more aware of some things that you can do to really look at yourself as a professional brand. Okay. That may be a new concept to some people. You've heard the word brand. It's who you are. It's what you represent. Also understanding that you are able to hone in on your audience and who you want to reach. So that's the fine tuning part. I'm going to talk with you about ways and tactics that you can use to engage your network and your connections, and share some insights and value of stuff that I've seen and stuff that I'm doing, and also talk about how you build relationships. So I just want to clear the air about LinkedIn. LinkedIn started as a kind of a job search platform, back, I don't know, a long time ago. And so, a lot of people, that's how they got jobs. And, they put their resume there and connect with people. And then it evolved into, I guess you could call it a lead generation platform, where businesses started to mine some data and connect with other businesses and start to, sell things. And now it's reached the point where LinkedIn is putting its money, actually, and its efforts into making this a content creators platform. So it's an interesting evolution for LinkedIn, but it puts all the more emphasis on the importance of content. And what I don't mean you have to be a writer. I mean that it's what you say and the types of content that you put out there is what's going to set you apart. Okay, so everyone with me so far? Yeah? Okay. All right, so here's a concept. There is what we call inbound. Okay, so that's coming to you. Okay, starts with your profile. You have an attractive profile, the content that you're sharing, engaging with your network. I call them influencers, but they're really people that are well connected, that are out there. So, if you comment on something that they have or you connect with them, it's like, meeting the popular person at an event, having conversations, and it kind of goes on. Then there's outbound. Okay, so now ideal clients, again, clients could be ideal employers. Okay, it's interchangeable. But from my perspective, I'm calling it a client. Okay, so outbound is what you're putting out there. Okay, outbound is your personal brand, one-to-one outreach, non-salesy, and it works like that. So the perfect organic formula for LinkedIn is a combination of these two things. And when we call it pipeline, that's like you're having interviews, you're having conversations, you're having meetings, you're getting introductions to other people. It's a consistently high value pipeline of opportunities. Okay, so now one of the things I asked you to do was fill in your score, your social selling index score. It's like, what the heck is that? This has to do, what's really interesting about this, it's actually a vanity metric that is used for sales teams, so when they want to be competitive, it's like, what's your score? What's my score? And it has to do in the key areas of your brand, your connecting with the right people, engaging with insights, and then building relationships. Okay. And when they talk about connecting with the right people, that's like, if I'm in, construction, and all of a sudden I start connecting with people in healthcare, there's going to be a disconnect, or people that are like in a totally different geographic area that I don't do work with. There'll be a disconnect, and it's the things that affect your score. If I connect with people and I just collect them like cards that business cards you just throw in the back of your drawer, then you're not building relationships. If I don't comment and I'm just out there just watching all this stuff going on, then I'm not engaging with insights. And if I haven't optimized my profile, then I really don't have a brand. So by doing those 4 areas, and there's a lot of tutorials and stuff out there on how to do that, but by doing those 4 areas, this is how it impacts your reach. And your reach has to do with your actions equate to how you show up on LinkedIn, whether you show in the feed or not, okay? So
question for you,
yes,
in that I got in the chat.
yes.
Can you see other people's scores besides
No.
on your Google sheet?
No, and that's why I asked you all to do it. No, if I could do that, I would, but no, you can't. You have to be logged into your account to see that. Unless you're in a sales team, then the administrator can see that. So okay, so that's what that social selling index is. And again, don't get too caught up in numbers, but I will say this: if you're under 50, you got some work to do. And that means, and again, you don't have to do any of this stuff, but if you really want to leverage the power of like 700 million business professionals on this platform, about 40% are actually active profiles. There's a huge opportunity. Okay. All right. It's just like this, you're searching for a job, right? It's just like, hey, I'm selling a house. There's the before. This is like an unoptimized profile. What's this house going to get? What about this one? Same house, before and after. Think of LinkedIn like that. And I'm going to give you a lot of these analogies because I want you to think about, just little tweaks here and there can make all the difference. Okay. So one of the things that is interesting, and that's why I ask you all these questions on a silly worksheet, is I want to point out the opportunities here that what we say, money on the table, right? Why leave money on the table? Now, as of last night, these were the profiles that I gathered here. I know there's probably twice as many. But you get the gist. This is kind of what we're looking at here. Okay, so the first missed opportunity is 90% of you are not consistently growing your network. And so what? Why does that even matter? Well, here's why it matters. It's the key to becoming visible. It's the key, as Larry said, it was who he knew, it was who he was connected to. And maybe it's not in LinkedIn, but just in general. It's like how you're becoming visible. If you're not consistently growing your network, then people don't know you exist, right? And it's really, you can't really think of it today as people are just going to come to you, because it just doesn't work like that. There's too much noise out there. So why do you need to grow your network? Well, every time you connect with somebody, okay, it expands your second degree network. So here's something to chew on. That number, at least I know from those of you that filled out the sheet, it's probably more than that. Together, we have 51,630 shared connections, okay? To me, they would be a shared connection is everybody's network added together, 51,000. That's pretty powerful, okay? Every time you connect with somebody, it expands that number, okay?
So wait, 51,630 that we all have in common?
Yes,
Or
common, together, collectively, all of us. Now I'm skewing that. I'm sorry to say that because I have quite a bit in my network, but that's good. So if you're connected to me and I'm working with people in your industry, then chances are you're going to have a second degree connection. It's very hard to connect with people that you don't have either the same entity like college, university, or that you, you have a second degree connection in common. You need to have some proximity in order to engage with people. Third degree is like, it's somebody out there that I don't know anybody that knows that person. They're third degree, they're way out of my sphere.
So just so I understand this, so I have 1,500 connections and Alex has 1,200 connections. That's 2,700 connections, but they're not necessarily the same connections.
They're not your first degree connections. These are your second degree connections.
Got it.
Okay. So right now we all have, and we probably have more, okay, because you're connected to other people, but just from this group, we have 51,000 second degree connections. So if I did a search and I looked at the second degree connections, that's about the number that we're dealing with. Okay?
Understood. Thank you.
And the point of it is, here's the point, is every time you connect with somebody, you expand that second degree network. So here you have 334 connections, right? 2 degrees of separation, that means 84,000. 3 degrees, that's third degree, 3 million. So again, every time you connect with somebody, you are opening up your second degree connection, okay? All right. So, and this concept of the Rolodex, that's all LinkedIn is really, you know, it's a bunch of business cards, right? That's what it is. It's a lot of business cards. All right. So how can you grow your network? You might want to take a picture of this. This is something to snap at. First of all, when you're reaching out to people, make sure you mention why. Why are you reaching out to them? Why they should connect with you? Was it something you saw that they wrote? Are you involved in the same, you going to the same event or meeting? You know, something in common. Mention that you're going to have a much higher rate of conversion. A typical, out of every 100 invitations sent, the average is 30% are accepted.
So never use the standard, I'd like
No.
to add you to my LinkedIn community, right?
There's absolutely zero value in that for the end person. And especially if you're you know, looking to, there's a company, say you want to work at CVS, right? And you know that, oh, there's this guy, Larry, that works there. Boy, I'd love to connect with him. So Larry, are you going to be more receptive to somebody that personalizes that, you know, versus just a generic or no context? Personalize it, okay? It's just like if you would meet somebody, right? You wouldn't just go by them and throw your business card and walk away. You know, that would be like weird, right? You shake your hand out. Hey, how are you? And when you meet people and when you're doing things, follow up and connect with them. You know, when you're on a Zoominar, if you happen to go to events, always follow up, connect. What you're going to do is it's going to seem like, man, this is insurmountable. I don't have time for this. I'm looking for a job. I don't have time. Break it down into chunks. And at the end, we'll talk about a routine, 15 minutes a day. Okay. It's like walking my dogs now, Cindy, you can relate to that. I got the little run now. I got that down to 30 minutes. You can really encourage people to grow your network by posting and engaging with content. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. You can create custom searches. You can look in groups for people. You can engage with who you're already connected with, and you can also publish articles. Okay. So, you know, again, I talk about personalizing, why you want to connect. When you're looking at somebody's profile, and this is so annoying that LinkedIn does this, always make sure you're hitting the, go to the person's profile. Do not hit the connect button that's on your mobile, because that just shoots out a generic invitation. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. And I'm like, oh no. And then welcome new connections. I always welcome people, and don't just, you know, don't collect business cards. Okay. All right. The next thing is, and this is crazy, 100% of you are not using the pronunciation feature. It's like, what the heck is the pronunciation feature? Does anyone know what that is? I guess not, because you're not using it. So use your voice to create a personal connection. You know, some of you are aware of Clubhouse right now. It's audio, you know, it's like people like video, so they get to see who you are. So it's just another way of getting to know people. And I have some really fun examples, and you can snapshot this as well, but I'm going to play these for you. I hope this works. Let's see.
Thanks for visiting my profile. I am Oreste Patillo, and I am a strategic CFO helping mid-market companies build enterprise value.
Okay, oops, what had just happened to my presentation? Hello, hi everyone. I just lost my screen. Okay, hang on. Oh man. Okay, I don't know where it went. All right, now's the time for Judi doesn't know technology time. I don't know what happened to it, gang. Hold on a second here. I don't know where the presentation went. Where is it?
You have to share your screen again.
I don't know where it is. No, it's there somewhere.
I think it kicks you back out.
I know, good golly.
Yeah, go back to share screen.
All right, share screen. It's not even up. I've got to go turn it on. Oh, gee. All right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not embarrassed. I'm going to share my whole screen with you. Okay. So now you're going to see all the behind the scenes stuff. It's like, you ever pay attention to what's on your desktop there? Yeah. Okay. Bear with me a second. I'm winging it here. Hold on. Going into slides. Going to pull this up. Here's our presentation. Gosh, this is embarrassing. There we go. All right. So anyway, I got more for you. Bear with me. Okay. All right. Here we go. Yay. Hold on a second. All right. Here we go. All right. Yeah, okay. I have an entertaining one for you. This guy.
My name is Dave. 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 Officer.
All right. And here's another one that I thought was very creative. Again, your personality.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Captain Salman speaking. I would like to welcome you on board my LinkedIn profile. Make sure to connect and be ready for departure.
Okay, you get the idea here. Here's one a little bit more direct. And then I'll move on.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I help high-growth companies navigate the complexity of scaling profitably. Have you been through a phase of rapid growth and are now stalling? I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Okay. So again, all the stuff I'm talking about, these are free features. It's a way of breaking down and getting, giving people an opportunity to know you. Now let me try to make this a little bigger here. Can you all see? Is everyone okay there? All right. So the next thing that I noticed is a little less than half have no contact information. So contact information is the part, and I'll bring this up here. Let me, this is a good example. This is your contact information, okay? How do you pronounce your name? Barty? Barty? That would be great to use the pronunciation for that as well. So people speak correctly. Yeah, that would be great. So this is what I mean. This is thoroughly filled out. So if I want to get in touch with you, I can call you because you put your mobile there. I can send you an email, and I even know when your birthday is. So I can send you greetings. But
Hey, Judy, I just had a request for you to expand this. Could you go up and hit the green button next to where it says My Drive?
Up here?
That'll give us the full screen. Yep.
Okay, all right.
There we go.
There we go, we're back. Okay. So, so make it easy for people to reach you, okay? Basically, that's your contact information. You go there, you use the pencil. Now, I use a Google Voice phone number, okay? Because I do get a lot of calls and sometimes they're sales pitches or whatever. So if you're concerned about that and you don't want to use your real mobile, just set up a Google Voice number, okay? And then you can actually filter those calls. Okay, the next thing I noticed, and this is a biggie, okay? 90% of you have not downloaded your database. Wow. Guess what? Job changes average 20% a year. Okay, there's that about a turnover, 20%, even more now. It's called low-hanging fruit on the ground, mining your own data. First of all, if you don't download your database and LinkedIn changes the rules for whatever reason, you don't have access to your connections. You have to go through LinkedIn. If you go through the process of downloading your database, I'm going to show you, it's right here. So what you do is you click on your little picture icon up there where it says me, and you go to settings and privacy, and then you choose download your data, and you choose, if you're doing it the first time, download everything, the works. If you're doing it regularly, download connections. And then you'll get it's these 6 columns here. It's the first name, last name, the title, the company. They sometimes give emails, not anymore, unless the person opted in for that, and then the date you connected. And what I typically do when I'm working with people and looking at their database is I'll sort it by company name. Okay, so we got the companies listed, and then we'll filter by title. So if we're looking for the CEO or the CFO or HR, whatever it is, we'll filter and see who we're connected at which companies in that title, and then we will re-engage with them and basically reach out to them, say, hey, it's been a long time, Linda, how are you doing? I'm doing a lot of things, would love to catch up with you. That's a great conversation to have, okay? So definitely download your database. All right, the next thing is, and this is a big one. This is a big one, and a couple of you have it a little bit better, but most people need help with that about section. And the funny thing about the about section is it's not about you. Remember, I told you LinkedIn evolved from being a resume, which it was about you, to now it's more like you think of yourself as what's in it for the reader. Okay. So instead of saying, it's like if you met someone and all they did was talk about themselves, you kind of get like glassy eyed, be like, oh, okay, that's nice. But what if they were talking to you in a way that they shared some insights and they were able to impart some really good information? You thought, wow, they really know their stuff. Very impressive. So tell your story, share your insights, and make the case why you're different. Think of it like this. Your resume has a purpose, right? It's all about what you've done. Okay. There's not a lot of wiggle room there. It should be pretty factual. Okay. LinkedIn is where you want to go. It's your future. It's how you want to be perceived. You're in control of that as to what you put on LinkedIn. Your resume, that has to be factual. Okay. So I want to give you a couple of examples. And this, again, it goes from a resume to a resource. This is Victor. And I worked with Victor on his profile. And basically, in healthcare, he had a results-driven professional, blah, blah, blah. Third person, no good. Okay. So what we did was we turned it around and we led with something like this that says, there are several challenges healthcare organizations face today. Okay. The goal is to get people to click on see more. And then he goes through effective strategies, and then he leads with a call to action. Okay, here's another example. I worked with Tom on his about section. He had, and I know some of you might know Tom because I think he was in the group a while back. Again, he had a lot of keywords, it was good. Tom's biggest concern was he had a biking accident and he was out of the game for a couple of years. And he saw that as a deficit. And I said, well, let's turn that around and tell your hero story. Okay, so what we did again with him, that about section, the first 2 or 3 lines there are the most important because you want to leave breadcrumbs along the way and you want to get people to click on different things. So we started out with, without warning, everything changed on November 24th as my world literally turned upside down. You want to click more to find out what, tell me more. What does that mean? And then we went in and we talked about a life interrupted and went and told his story. And so we built him up from a position of strength, not from a position of weakness and deficit. Okay.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? Because Tom is a really interesting story. So yes. Tom came to us through the resume review committee, and Tom's resume started off with this story that Judi has relayed in his profile for him, and I worked with Tom personally. He had gone up through Matt Budd a couple of times, and I took him on from a resume perspective, got his resume squared away with him so that it was more of the factual series of the positions that he held. And we very superficially addressed the fact that his life was interrupted. But towards the end of the review with him, he said, do you have anybody who can work on my LinkedIn profile with me? and that's how he wound up with Judi. And what, Tom's got a really interesting story and he's a really talented guy. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to share that. Judi, there is another question here on how to download your profile card. I don't know if we're going to get to that or not.
How to download your well, you can't download your card. You can download your database.
Okay.
You can download everything here. It's called the Works, and it will give you, but it's going to be in these CSV zip files.
Okay.
Okay. So
and
as far as your card, I use screenshots. I just screenshot it.
Okay. And do you have your name in lowercase? That's another question here.
Yes, the reason why I do that is because I'm trying to see who's using bots and automation, because bots don't know to capitalize things. So that's why mine, you'll see it like that. It's part of my, what do you call, that's how I get insights. I know who's using bots by doing that.
Could you elaborate on that a little?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people that are selling this sort of fast track. LinkedIn will get you 100 leads a day, you know, that kind of thing. And they use these bots, which LinkedIn will suspend your account if it detects it, and it just shoots out invitations. Da, 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 da. So it's scraping data. It's scraping your name, first name, last name, scraping your position, and you wind up getting these very generic scripted invitations. And so I screenshot them, I collect them. And it's just, to me, I don't want to connect with bots. So if somebody is using automation, it's not good. Don't do it if you're thinking of, oh, I'm going to use Duck Soup, or there's a couple others there. There's some plugins. LinkedIn is really cracking down on that, and they are suspending accounts that are using it. But I know when somebody's automating, because you can just tell, like if I respond back and ask them a question, their next message comes out giving me a sales pitch. It's like, no, you know, so that's what bots do.
Judy, John's is saying that he doesn't have a setting that says download your data. Could you go live and show us how that's done?
Yeah, hang on. Let me go down here. Okay, so what you would do is you'd go here. Okay, so you're going to be, it doesn't matter what view you're in, but you're going to get that top bar. Okay, you're going to hit me up there. Then you're going to go to settings and privacy. Okay, and then you're going to go right here, how LinkedIn uses your data, get a copy of your data. And you either download everything, or if you do it regularly, you just hit connections. You're going to need your password. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. There we go. And done. And then it's going to take about 15-20 minutes. And I just come back and refresh the page. And then it says download available. And then you download it. And that's going to be a CSV file with those 5 columns. Does that make sense, John?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so, and again, it's something highly recommend you do it on a regular basis, okay? All right, okay, so the next one, Orest here, he's another gentleman from the group. He, you know, was interesting because I actually work with a couple of accountants, and I work with RSM, which is an accounting firm, and they had moved their practice from transactional to advisory in terms of the group I was working with. And so it was kind of an interesting discussion when he was talking about, you know, being a strategic CFO as opposed to a transactional CFO. So we took his about section, and again, you can see there's some minor tweaking here. His head, all the image, all that stuff worked well. And we tweaked what the, you know, how his headline is. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But it was the about section that I'm talking about here. You know, he just said a strategic, proven, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, wow. We turned it around, and we wanted to talk to that one person that was going to hire him, that smart CEO that was looking to build entity value to be prepared for an exit strategy or an IPO or shareholder return. Well, you got my attention now. That's me. I'm that CEO. And here's the deal. Most companies have transactional CFOs who just, you know, handle income taxes, whatever. And a strategic CFO does all of these things. You know, they understand this. And here's how the right strategic CFO makes the difference. Basically, he's making the case. This is all the stuff he does. But he's turning it around in a way that is giving, let's put it this way, he's giving the buyer of his service, hiring him, more insight on how to hire the proper CFO by doing this. And so he's positioning that, and you know, it's just a whole different way of treating that about section. So again, this is not promotional. As you read this, you don't feel it's promotional. He's using this opportunity to educate the person that's reading it, assuming it's his ideal, you know, employer opportunity, or you know, that's going to hire him as a consultant, to see just by virtue of what he's writing that he has the chops and he knows what he's talking about. That makes sense to everybody? This is radically different for career. You'll talk to other career people and they'll have you list all your keywords and all that stuff. It doesn't work. Not anymore. Not anymore. Okay, here's some help for you. 2 books that I find really, really helpful. The Storyteller's Secret is phenomenal. You know, some good ways. And I got, this might, you know, sound crazy. I'm not a writer, but I'm a good editor, so I can take like a sample and kind of work with it. I love that book. And then Exactly What to Say, Phil Jones, is really another good lot And I love the library, by the way. You see them at the library. Okay, so here are some more, and you can photograph these. Here are some more, most of these, actually all of these are my clients. And you can look at these about sections and you'll notice there's a pattern to some degree. It starts with 2 or 3 lines that are like the hook. It's like that email subject line that gets you to click on that email, okay? And then you're gonna wanna click the see more. That's the goal. And then when you click the see more, then it unfolds the story. And you have 2,000 characters to work with. So, so I encourage you to take a look at these so you can see, you know, how we treat the about section in a way that we would call making you a resource. Okay. All right. So the next one is 25% of you have your headline defaulting to the title company. And then I'm going to say another probably 50% of you have a lot of keywords in there. Okay. So it's like, all right, keywords are cool. First of all, you have 220 characters to work with. Keep in mind that the first 25 is what's visible on mobile. And you have to pay attention to mobile because about half of the use on LinkedIn is consumed on mobile, whether it's Android or iPhone or what's the other one, Pixel, which is Android, I guess. Then 40 characters follow you everywhere. So what do I mean by that? Let me just show you here, back again to mine. If I go to LinkedIn and I go here, I've shut off some settings here. So hold on a second. Let me go into my network. Nope, that's not it either. Okay, so this kind of stuff, it goes everywhere, but you only really see the first 40 some odd characters like this. When you're looking at notifications, you'll see again, nope, doesn't come through that way. Hold on, let me look at content here, post and activity. When you look at content, you'll see again, this is what's showing, you know, the first, you don't see the whole thing. This gets a little bit longer, but again, if I'm on a mobile device, I don't see all that. And this can go away when I shrink that in. So you figure, you know, you want your most important information there. And the way that I have found this to be effective for people is to think about, here's some examples. Okay, it's who you target. Who are you targeting? You know, again, there's different verticals. It could be healthcare. It could be a certain role. It could be that you're more into fintech versus, you know, a CPA. You could be working with small businesses versus enterprise business. You could be working with a certain region of the country versus global. You know, there's a lot of different specialties within your industry. So that's the part is really get a little bit more specific. So let me give you some examples. And again, you might want to screenshot this. These are what some people have been doing to differentiate themselves. So you'll notice there's certain things here, like, you know, I help small size institutional investment managers. Okay, that's one. Director of finance known for driving millions in savings. I think the gentleman might be in our group tonight. Global business development executive, you know, you get the idea here. It's a little bit more, this here, finance executive, leadership, financial, that's a little keyword stuffing. And I'll tell you, if you click on those, like type in financial executive or leadership or what is it, insights analysis, you'll get a lot of people. But if you're a little bit more specific, meaning that if someone looks at that, again, you're trying to spark curiosity and get them to want to click more. You want them to click on your, what is that? That's an interesting headline, you know, not obscure. Again, you know, it should really be in your lane, whoops, as to what you do, but tell a little bit more. Don't just use keywords because that's not how the platform is searched. And we'll get into recruiters in a minute as to what they see on their back end. There's other factors that are signaling what a recruiter is delivered. Okay, so, okay. A couple of you asked me about ghost companies. That's these like gray avatars here. Now, why does it even matter? It's like, you know, why does that matter? Why it matters is especially for recruiters, if they want to find people that have worked at a certain company or had graduated from a certain institution or related or doing work with a certain entity, they're going to look for profiles that are connected to those entities. So if you have that little gray avatar, you're not showing up as connected properly to that entity. So you're missing out on that opportunity and you're not showing up in the filters. And so, you know, again, it also looks kind of sketchy, right? It's like, what is all these gray boxes? Are those even real companies, right? So here's the thing. It's very easy to create. Okay, and somebody asked this question, well, what if I'm a consultant? What do I do? Well, I'm going to show you. You create a page. And you're like, well, but I don't really have a business. Yeah, you do. You are yourself. You are your own business. You're a consultant. So the way you do it is you go to this little waffle up here, click on that, and then down here it says create a company page, and you just follow the prompts. I use a tool called Canva, CANVA.com. It's a free graphic design for non-designers tool. And here's what we did for Tom. And again, this is his, we made this company page. So it validates on his profile, it shows Zinsmeister here with the Z. He likes purple, so we made that. I found a nice font. Just put his name there, and that's his tagline: leading finance and operations in global organizations. And then here it is, best in class. So now what happens is he has a double bang, right? He has twice as many opportunities to show up in the feed, and he has an opportunity now to look like this is him. You know, there's nothing wrong with this. We're not misleading anybody. So, you know, people have different thoughts about that, and they have I don't care about my company page. It is important. You know, LinkedIn is a very high authority website in terms of integrity. So when somebody's searching, most likely if you search your name, and I think I have a slide on that in a couple of slides here, your LinkedIn profile is probably going to be the second or third result. Yeah, it's going to show up. Oh yeah. And it's really important. So if you have a company page related to you, that may show up too. Here's what I did for Arrest. Same thing. He liked something. It was some street he lived on. I think he lived on San Pedro. So he just came up with this. San Pedro.
So we just had a comment here that says you can't create a company page if you don't have a website.
Yeah, and so you use your profile. We use his profile. The website goes back to his profile. Bingo.
Okay, yeah. Sophia?
Yeah, it goes back to the profile. Here, let's look at it. Let's look at Arrest's, let's look at his thing here. Yeah. Another way you could create I'll show you how to create a website if you don't have a website. So we go here. Okay, he's got this. We click on this. Visit website. Boom. Back to his profile. That's the website. Right. If you don't have a website, you can look at something like Book Like a Boss, which is a scheduling tool that I use. And when people schedule, time with me, it's a link that they go to, and it's a website, and I can put testimonials there. I can put my calendar and blah, blah, blah. So that's another way to get around. I don't have a website. Okay. So, yeah. And again, remember we talked about this is your branding. You want to look professional. This is free. You don't have to pay any money to do this. Okay. Okay, here's the thing about recommendations. And I know some of you may be in regulated industries and there's rules and things like that. But I would say, I think there was a couple that had no recommendations or had really old ones, like more than half of you had really old ones. Recommendations are social proof, and it's awkward to ask people for recommendations. But once you start doing it, just, you can start with people that you're comfortable with, and don't do it all on the same day, because that looks sketchy. It does, and I've seen it as like, whatever day you send out that request is the day that's going to show on the thing there. You just ask people, say, hey, I'm taking LinkedIn serious, and we work together on XYZ project, and I would love it if you could say a few words about our experience working together. Okay, and if you like, I'll be happy to draft something. I did this exact thing. I wanted to speak at a big conference back when we could do things like that. And I don't know, some of you might have heard of HubSpot. I knew employee number 9 from Austin, Texas. We used to go to the users group, and he's like a major guy there. And I reached out to him. We engaged on LinkedIn, and I said, hey, Dan, I want to apply to speak at Inbound. And I know we haven't worked together, but I think you've seen, what I do on LinkedIn, and I would love it if you wouldn't mind writing a couple of words about your observation. And so his response was, sure, draft something up and I'll tweak it. Boom, he did it. I got a recommendation from Dan Tyre, employee number 9 from HubSpot. So, again, had I not asked, he wouldn't have done it. Now, I've had cases where I work with clients to help them get this. People ignore it sometimes, or there's just like, oh, I don't have time for it. It's going to happen. That's okay. But whenever someone pays you a compliment, or if you cut them do a favor for somebody, say, would you mind just put a couple words in my LinkedIn profile, about your experience working with me? Most people want to help other people. And again, here's the good news about recommendations. Number one, recruiters look at it. Your potential employers look at it. Anyone that's going to pay money for you looks at it, and your people that are writing these recommendations can say things about you that you can't say about yourself. Because if you say it, it's bragging. If they say it, it's a compliment, right? So there's social proof. Okay, how are we doing on time?
We're good. We're
good.
6:05. So
all right. So
we're
again,
right in the sweet spot.
Here it is up here, and now I've got like 65 recommendations. So I've made some progress here since the last time I shot this, but you just go up into the pencil and you ask for recommendation. Now you could give recommendations, but if it's the quid, I can't say it, quid pro quo, if you give me, I'll give you, that again, looks a little sketchy. So I probably wouldn't do that, but occasionally if I'm feeling really good about something or somebody, I might just write a recommendation for them. It's a random act of kindness. And so it's okay to do that, but I would try to have at least 3 recommendations on your profile from, like, say, the last 12 months would be great. All right. Now, skills is another thing. Skills is something that recruiter, the headhunters and talent acquisition, they use the signals that come from skills. So what that means is, first of all, you don't want to have generic ones like something strategy. That's okay, but maybe marketing strategy would be better. SEO, yeah, that's a common one. Pick ones in your industry that have meaning and actually search. Type in that word up in the search bar, see what comes up, see who shows up for those things. The goal is you want to get 99 plus. So the 50 or 40 some odd people that are on this call today, I'm going to set up a little LinkedIn message pod. Okay, and you're all going to be in it. And everyone's profile, you'll be able to click on it. What I'd like you to do is do a round robin. It's a challenge, but go and endorse somebody for their top skill. Okay, then guess what happens? And a lot of you, I did it to a lot of you that we already connected. You might have gotten an endorsement from me, and then most of you had responded back. So what happens there? Who was that did that? Is it Eileen or who was it? Do you mind turning on your volume and say what that did? Did it send you a notification? Somebody's on mute. Anyway, all right, what it does is it sends the recipient a notification. So-and-so just endorsed you for a skill. Oh, okay, so I can ignore it, or I can thank them for it, or I can endorse them back. So, obviously you want to reciprocate the endorsement, but the good thing about, like, say you go through your database and you find all these people that, oh gosh, I'd really like to talk to this one, we connected, but we never really said anything. Go and endorse them for a skill, something obvious, like that's in there. If they say chief financial officer, then endorse them for finance, because obviously if that's what they do, then that should be a valid skill. And see if somebody responds back, say, hey, I'm happy to do that, happy to endorse, would love to catch up with you. Again, try to start conversations, but use skills, because recruiters are going to be looking at what you're weighing heavy in. If you've ever applied for a job on LinkedIn and it shows you which skills you have as it relates to the skills in the job and kind of where you're a fit, they're looking at the weight of these various skills. Put your top 3 up at the front here. You can use the little push pins there. I think you can, what's it called? You can make them featured. And then once you get past 99, then you recycle them, okay? All right, here's the big one. I think it's actually higher, since I only had a small amount of you when I pulled this stat. No activity. So this is the thing. We are hosting this really great event, and there's going to be a lot of really important companies there that are going to possibly want to hire you. So you come there, you're dressed inappropriately, right? You just came from the beach or something, and you come there and you're just standing in the corner. You're not talking to anybody. You're not engaging. You're just there. Wow. Now somebody else comes in and they're dressed the part. They're looking good, kind of like I showed you with that house, and they're having conversations with people, and people are gathering around them. Everyone wants to be around these people. Wow, who do you think is going to get the job? Who's going to get the attention? It's going to be the people that are engaging. So don't be this person. But a lot of people do that. Because you know what? It's fear. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to say this. I don't want to sound stupid. Oh, I don't know what to say. Or I just see these people posting stuff and none of it interests me. Okay, that's fair. The reason why you want engagement, again, you probably want to take a screenshot of this if you want to remember it, is this is how you build relationships. I can't tell you how many times I have seen something show up in my feed because somebody I knew engaged with it and I liked it. And so I made a comment and then I reached out to that person that published it. And I said, I love the article you wrote about blah, blah, blah. I totally agree with that. Would love to connect, have you in my network. Chances are probably 90% they'll accept the invitation. When you do engage, it shows up as a notification in people's feeds. And it really does, when you comment, as opposed to just doing a reaction, it increases your visibility. A comment is weighted more heavily on the algorithm. Everything that you see in your feed is calculated by an algorithm. And nobody really knows. Like if anyone tells you they know the algorithm, nobody knows the algorithm on LinkedIn. I don't even think LinkedIn knows the algorithm because some of it doesn't make sense. But what I do know is if you are consistent, like once or twice a week at the very least, posting something, if you are actively engaging with the content that you see in your feed, if you are actively messaging people in your network, you're creating what is called relevance. All of that is weighted in. So when you do post something, it starts out with about 10% of your network. So if you have 500 people that you're connected to, approximately 50 people will get the first pass at that. And then whatever happens to that content within the first couple of hours will determine whether LinkedIn opens up a wider reach. That's how the algorithm works. So when you see these things that have like millions of comments and all this stuff, those people have worked hard to get that. And sometimes, they use engagement pods and things like that, which I wouldn't recommend. But rather than just, giving things a like, take it a step further and give it one of these other ones, a celebrate or a love or insight, or take it a step further and write 5 words or more. Create a library of phrases. If you're using the same phrase, that's fine. 5 words or more is what has a bit more weight in the back end of LinkedIn that then pushes that out. So why even do that? Well, because everybody that you see, and here, let me give you a case in point here. Let's go back here. So let me look at the feed. Here's my feed. Again, this stuff's showing up here. I engage with him. That's why I see him. Now, there's going to be people here. These are other connections. That's promoted here. This guy commented on this. I'm connected to him. That's why I'm seeing this. I look at the comments. This is actually a client. This guy likes this. Again, I don't know this guy. He's somebody that's connected to somebody, but it's showing up here. You can change your feed. If you don't like what you're seeing here, like if I don't want to see Andy's stuff anymore, I can say, I don't want to see this, or I can unfollow Andy. Okay. So if there's somebody that you say their stuff is annoying, change it. You can also, this is what LinkedIn is deeming as top. So they're making a decision as to what's in your feed. If you want to see what's recent amongst your connections, click that. Now, here's another thing you could do. You could go here and you could just hit the search bar, okay? And then you can say, I want to see posts. And I want to see posts by my first degree connections that have been posted in the past 24 hours. And I want them to possibly be in, let me see, marketing. Let's say marketing. Okay. So now these are people I'm connected to that have posted in the past 24 hours. So if I want to engage with this, it's like, oh, this is great. This one's at this show. I can write a nice comment. I look for things that have a little bit of engagement. And again, then that goes out into the feed. So this is one of those things you could do. One day a week, you could go through, and again, you could do this, the past week, whatever you want to do. And here's what I would suggest, whatever browser you're on, take this, either bookmark this string, or in Chrome, you can bookmark it like that, or you can drag this thing out onto your desktop. And that's your little engagement pod. So every time you're logged into your account, it'll bring up your first degree connections, what's been posted in the past, whatever interval you set, whatever industry. And that's one way to engage, okay? Does that sound like, is that like a wow or yeah? Okay.
So a couple of questions in the chat. Do one-on-one messages count as engagement?
Yes, there's a lot of, it creates relevance. So,
and
yeah.
And private messages when responding to notifications count as if you put a publicly displayed comment?
It weighs difference. The feed, LinkedIn is looking for, there's factors, I don't know if you heard of this stuff called dwell time. Dwell time is how much time you're dwelling on that piece of content. Are you just scrolling, or are you actually clicking and reading it? That's one factor. Another factor is the type of engagement that it gets. Are people actively just liking it, just doing the hands up thing here, or are they actually posting comments? That it's different, or are they sharing it with somebody else? So there's different actions that people can take. The other thing is when you message somebody, like if I wasn't connected with Scott and I wanted to, let me just change this to finance for a second here. Let me just see if any of your stuff comes up. Finance, financial services, and let's just do accounting. Okay, so let me just show this. Let's see if any of you guys, all right. So these are the people that you can see, these characters are active here. These are the people that are active, and these are the ones that are posting, and you'll see those same names coming up, and that's what monopolizes the feed, because people, they're actively doing it, they're actively posting. So if I am not connected to Julio here, well, actually I am, because it's his first degree, but if I'm not connected to him, I could reach out and say, hey, Julio, I love that post you put about blah, 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 would love to connect with you. And if I really like the topic here, I might look at who it is that's engaging with this. Who are these people here? So I'll click on this and say, oh, these are interesting. I'm not connected to Christina, would love to connect with her. She's right, would be an ideal opportunity. Jordan, another one. Hey, you and I both like that post that so-and-so posted. Would be great to have you in my network. You should be working on building your network as at least, I say at least 5 invites out a day, okay? Maybe more, because without growing that network, you're not having the proximity. So let's say you see a job, so I want to look at jobs here. And it's a whole different thing here. So that's the one filter. So I'm looking at jobs, and I'm going to look at, I want you to look at just past 24 hours. Okay. All right. And then look at, let's look at director, executive, mid-senior. Okay. The less you pick, I think, yeah, 10,000. So it gets a little bit less. Okay. Job type. Depending upon what you pick, you could pick contract there, boom, okay? And then company, if there's specific companies that you want to work with, then you can pick them and add them to this. So now I see these things. So now I'm looking at, and it's going to show me, oh, here's somebody that works here. Okay, oh, I have 4 connections that work here. Oh, I have 3 connections that work here. That's what you want. So as you're growing your network, you're looking for people that are working at those companies. So I say, wow, this looks like a really good job. 200,000 a year, I'm in. Okay, so now I look at who works there. Oh, Charles. Oh, Chuck. Okay, I know him. Hey, Chuck, I noticed that blah, 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 whoever it is, Estee Lauder is looking for, head of retail. I'd love to apply for that. What kind of candidates are you getting? Is that, is that a real job? I mean, is it filled? What can you tell me? He'll say, sure, let's get on the phone. Let me chat. Let me see if I can give your name to so-and-so. That's how you work with this instead of applying for it. You use your network, and you do, it's kind of a reverse engineering, but you find the opportunities here that have been posted in the past 24 hours, so they're still fairly fresh. And again, you can pull this thing right here and have it saved. Okay, so now I know that's my 24-hour job search, high level, right? And I wouldn't apply. I would see who you can first connect with, or who you can talk with, because you're going to circumvent a lot of the bureaucracy. If you can, Chuck says, Judi is awesome for this. I want you to talk with her. And Chuck has some weight there. It's like, okay, sure, we'll talk with her. And maybe Chuck gets a finder's fee too. So maybe he's got something in it for himself. But you see, that's a whole different approach to using the job search versus I'm going to apply to all these, because when you apply to these jobs, you are one of many. And basically the job of the recipient, it's probably some ATS system or something like that, is to eliminate. Their job is to eliminate. So they're looking for reasons to check a box so you get, pushed out of the line. And so, if you don't have all the right things checked, you miss that opportunity. Whereas if you go through this way and Chuck, he's your neighbor, your kids play on a sports team together or something, I don't know. But whatever it is, you got a much better chance of getting an opportunity to talk to whoever the decision maker is here. And that's why you want to grow your network. As I look at these, I want to look at the ones where I have connections. or the other side is if I have companies that I want to target, then I'm going to look at who's working there and I'm going to look at the content that they're publishing and I'm going to engage with that content. And then I'm going to reach out to them and say, oh, I love the stuff you're posting about blah, blah, blah. You always have such great insights. Let's connect. So again, this is a different way. It's taking control as opposed to being in a passive, I'm just going to wait for these jobs to come to me, which they're probably not. You're going to have to be more proactive and say, I want to work for Rex or I want to work for JP Morgan. I'm going to say, oh, I have 4 connections there. And it may just be, even if they don't have something posted, but you want to work for JP Morgan, you can say, you know what, let me just reach out. Hey, Sarah, how's it going? We haven't spoken in a while. What's happening in the world of high finance, whatever. I don't know. Start a conversation, send a message, have a virtual coffee. But that's the best way that you're going to be more in a position of having choice as opposed to taking whatever is thrown at you. Okay.
Another question, how good is the LinkedIn job board compared to other sources like Indeed?
Indeed, well, I got to tell you, I work with a couple of clients and sometimes they'll put things out there just to see what's out there in the market. A couple of clients I'm working with are having a really hard time finding people right now. And these are senior level, like solution architects in roles like that, tech data engineers. If you have those skills, it's like they can't find anybody that's qualified, and they're low 6-figure jobs. I think, sometimes by the time stuff gets out here, there's so much, internal resources have applied, people that know people, maybe compliance, they have to post it, just because they have to show that they put the job out there. Maybe they already know who they're going to hire, but they have to say that they interviewed 10 people. That's why I call this the passive way of just applying for jobs. I used to get so exhausted applying for jobs. It was such a, it wears you down. It wears you down because a lot of times they don't even respond back. And it's like you spend all this time crafting, perfect cover letter and response to this. And they don't even respond to you. You know why? Because the ATS system kicked you out because you didn't have whatever keywords they were looking for. So go the other way. Yeah.
I think that, Larry's landing story also kind of like cemented the fact that you've got to start with the connections,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then apply.
Yes. Absolutely.
Are there significant advantages to subscribing to the premium service?
Well, I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay. Well, wait.
Yeah. Okay. So why publish on LinkedIn? Well, here's the deal. Hey, Lou, would you turn down an event to speak at a networking where your ideal potential employers were going to be? You wouldn't turn. I mean, unless you're totally scared of speaking in public. But the point is, put stuff out there on LinkedIn. It's there and it's a great platform. And I told you they're moving towards a content creators. That's what they're putting the emphasis on. So people that are creating content and putting stuff out there are the ones that are doing well. Okay, so here's sources. Again, photograph it. You can do keyword searches in LinkedIn. Whoops, what did I just do? There's a couple of resources here. Dive Industries, I love. You can find, again, curating content here. You can find by different sectors, and they have all kinds of articles and stuff, and you can share it. Here's a publication, you can look at it. They have newsletters, and this is where I get a lot of content from my clients, and oh gosh, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, there's just some great things here. So that's one way, use the industry dives. Another thing you can use is Forbes councils. I pulled up the Finance Council, but they publish. So these are all things that Forbes council members publish. And so again, you can take this and you can say, oh, 6 ways to build, and publish it, and then make sure you tag people that are mentioned in that. But that's another source of content. You can take Smart Briefs is another source of industry content. What you can do is look here, and these are all the sectors that they deal with. Food and beverage, retail, life science, whatever it is, they've got content out there. And you can look at, you can request a media kit, and then you can subscribe to their newsletter. Again, all
so
free.
you can share this content.
Oh yeah.
You can't, but you can't put it through publisher.
No, you wouldn't put it through publisher, but you would do something like, I mean, what I've done with publishing is the articles that I've published, have been, I've done things like this. Like this was one I did right when we got all shut down. And I said, hey, it's time to up your skills. A lot of companies offering free stuff. So what I did was I aggregated a bunch of resources because people always call me the resource girl. So this is what I did. I just said, hey, time to up your skills. Here's some training and all of these ones. And I just collected them. I found all these things showing up. I did a search and it became a resource. And people were like, oh my gosh, this is great. I love this. Wow, blah, blah, blah. And then I updated it. That's a published article. Now, the reason why you publish an article is that LinkedIn, again, remember I told you it's a highly authoritative website. This gets indexed into Google. Okay, so this is likely to show up if somebody is looking for the proper keywords that are in here. Now, when you publish on your profile as a post, like something like this is like a tweet. It's here and it's gone. Okay. It's here, and then depending upon what people do with it, and you can see there's stuff going on here. It shows up, it goes away. This is an article I found here in this Kinsta website, and I put some narrative. And I saw some of you are doing stuff like this, so you're doing a good job of it. But again, I tag the people mentioned, Mateo and Kinsta. And the way you do that is when you're typing it, you just use the @ symbol and make sure you have the right person, but it goes back to their profile. And then whenever there's a comment on it, then I respond back to the people that are making the comments. So we're having a conversation there. So that's creating more dwell time because people are reading it, they're going through it. The engagement is showing. And then I'm also messaging with these people. These are people within my network. And so that's how that creates that relevance.
So I just want to distinguish because there's an intellectual property issue here.
Yeah,
right?
as long as you're sharing it here, it's the link that's here.
Right.
And you're crediting the person. And I'm not saying I wrote it. I just said, here's an instructional article. Again, I'm being a resource. So if I were to take what was in this article and publish it without crediting them and without putting the source link, that's not ethical. You can't do that.
Right.
You shouldn't do that.
They will knock you off for that.
Well, it's just, you don't want to do stuff like that. I mean, I think most people do it out of ignorance. Then they're not trying to be deceitful. But again, any of these articles that you find in Forbes Council like this, I would say here's an example. Oh, this is great. 6 ways to build true teamwork with your staff. I want to share this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the link. I'm going to go into my home feed and I'm going to say here, I'm going to create a post and I have it tied to my Twitter. I pull in the link like that. It's going to populate. And then what I like to do, instead of just sharing that, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, I usually go down to the bottom. There's usually a summation. There's nothing more exciting, I'll pull that in, take it there, and then here, and then nothing more exciting. And then I'll say, great insights from Forbes. What was it? Tech Council, Finance Council. If I could spell it would be great. Hello. Gosh. And then I would tag this, I would bring this in. So Forbes Business Council, Forbes Finance Council, there you go. There, and then I can publish it. And then and then by the way, I'd add a hashtag. So I would call it, finance or whatever it is, whatever hashtags, like I like Forbes Magazine might be one. I don't know, you could find, and it tells you as you're doing them, what is it called here? Teamwork. So it's should be showing you as I pull this up now. I don't know why it's not doing that. Never does this on demand.
You can recreate your own hashtag. That's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, just do 3, no more than 3. But it usually shows you, it should show you the count. For some reason, it's behaving badly. But anyway, I would do that and then you post it. Okay. And if there's anyone mentioned in here, like, I'd say kudos to, Joe Smith for the writing, love the, all that's covered here, whatever. That's all you want. That's it. So you're not, it's nothing, what's the word? You're not stealing any IP by doing this. It's here and great insight. And here's the article. And that's it. And then you publish it. I'm discarding it because I'm not going to publish it.
Great. Thank you, Judi.
But any of these resources, Feedly is another source you can use. I think you can still do a lot on the free version, but it shows you how to discover content and it has a great interface and you can pull in based on keywords or subjects or publications, and then you can have content that you could review. And then the other thing is Google Alerts is another one. I've set up Google Alerts for some of my clients over here because I want to know if things are being said about them. And a lot of times, you know, that's another thing where you could reach out to a company if you see something being mentioned by them, you know, like a news thing. Somebody may not have seen it. Say, hey, I saw this, you know, about your company. In case you missed it, wanted to share it with you. Wow, that's really cool. You're really on top of it, you know. So it's that kind of thing. But anyway, I set up these alerts, and then it just sends me a email. It says, hey, there's something in whatever it is that I've gotten here. So these are all different ways that you can, and then of course on LinkedIn, you know, if you do this, what I do here is I looked up, I think it was fintech. So I just put in the word, just type the word fintech. So go to your home thing here, right? And I type in FINTECH, okay? Fintech, just like that, no hashtags, nothing. And then these are all the things that are posts right here. These are all posts. But now if I don't click this, I can say, okay, who are people that have fintech? Oh, these are all the people with fintech. Or I can look at, you know, I want to find jobs in fintech. Again, that's another way. It'll bring all that up, and then you can fine tune it. I want to find groups that are talking about fintech. I want to find events that are using that word. Here's all these events, you know. And here's the thing, I did this yesterday. We mined some data for one of my clients. We signed up for something and we saw who the attendees were. And we looked at them, and actually about 20 of them were pretty good prospects for my client. So I captured that information, and now we're working on engaging with them. So again, you can look at these different things, and there's a lot of ways. It's kind of being creative. It's like you've got the end game in mind. The more specific you are, the more success you'll have in terms of honing in on that. Does that make sense?
Time check, Judy, we're at 6:30.
All right, so let me zoom. Okay, so we're almost there. Paying, okay? Almost half of you are paying for LinkedIn, yet I'm gonna say more than a third aren't doing anything. You're inactive. That's throwing money away. So what does that mean? Well, if you're going to pay for anything, Sales Navigator is the best way to do it, because Sales Navigator has all kinds of, let me just move that in there, has all kinds of things that you can do, all kinds of searching features. It gives you that 90-day profile visibility. I asked a couple of you about who's looking at your profile. It's important to look at that because I want to see who is looking at me. And if somebody, there's a couple of people, it's like we do this do-si-do thing, like they're looking at me, I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, I'm looking at them, and then who's going to take the first move here, you know, and then eventually, you know, one of us will connect. But, you know, it's good to see, make sure a couple of you have your visibility set in a stealth mode. Check your settings and make sure, be totally visible, because if you're not visible, then you're not seeing who's looking at your profile. So if you're on the free version, you're only going to see like the first 5, and it's every day. So you're going to have to get in the habit of looking at it every day. There's a lot you can do with the free version. Until you keep getting the message you've exceeded the commercial limits, stay with the free version. You know, unless you're on a grandfathered pricing, like there are some people out there that are on like some beautiful $29 a month deal, don't let go of that, because that you'll never find that again. The cheapest you can do now for LinkedIn, I think, is $49 or $59 a month, and Navigator is now $99 a month. You know, but again, if you're really using the horsepower in Navigator, if you're doing some really custom searches, you know, there's all kinds of things that you can do here. You know, with searches, your LinkedIn experts, and all kinds of stuff here that you can hone in on, and you can exclude, and then you can create lists, and you know, it's phenomenal to do this. Most of my clients will hire me to do this for them because they don't know how to deal with this, but I'll then deliver them a list. You know, I'll put together a list of here's the prospects I want you to review. You know, here's the ones, and you can have all this information. But again, if you're not using all of that stuff, at the very least, you know, make sure that, you know, you're checking your profile views. You can use LinkedIn Learning, but you also get that free through the library, you know. So for most of you, I probably would say, unless you're on a you know, former grandfathered pricing, you probably don't need premium. Okay. A couple of you also, I don't have the exact amount, but you don't have banner images here. So banish the blank banners. You know, this is like a billboard. This is the tool that I use, canva.com. It's fabulous. You can do a lot for free, and they have templates for your banners. A lot of you have really nice banners, by the way, really nice banners. Okay, so here it is. You know, and I mark some of you red that we're spending a lot of time applying for jobs versus networking. Flip it. You know, stop applying for jobs. That's passive. That's passive reactive. You want to be proactive, and you want to be in charge of doing that. And you also, you know, what do you want to be? you know, one of many, which is what you are when you're applying for the job. You're all the great people back there, or you're one of a kind. You're standing out, you know. So quick hacks. We'll run through this real fast. Google your name. Look at your name, how you're showing up. If you got, you know, and I'll say this because for whatever reason, if you're on Facebook, you better check your settings. Make sure anything that you have on social media is set to private, because you don't want stuff showing up in feeds. You need to control what's out there. Check your name, and just the only way that you can bury something is by putting more good content out. Okay, so but just be aware, because I'll tell you what, they are looking at you way before they're talking to you. Make sure your notifications are set optimally. Make sure that you're seeing the right things that you want to see, and that you're getting alerts either on your phone or however you want to do it. But just make sure that, you know, you're seeing things, and also use milestones and job changes and, you know, birthdays as a way to reach out to people. And don't use the generic congrats or happy birthday. I use a little word cloud, and I take the person's profile picture and I throw it in word cloud, and I do happy birthday with their face profile and send it to them. Or I'll put something fun that I'll tell them. Like October is my birthday month, so I always greet other Libras and say, hey, happy birthday, Libra. So, okay, sorry about that. Shouldn't drink coffee before these meetings. Okay, this one, the featured section is, some of you are using it, most of you aren't. The featured section is on your profile. And again, this is like up here, your profile. It's going to be this section right here. And you'll see it here where it says add a section. So when you scroll into your profile, that feature becomes visible, and it says add a section. So this is where I wouldn't necessarily put like certificates or whatever. I'd put like an interesting article or something. You know, again, what I put here was an article I wrote in Forbes. I put some tips for social media. I put another thing that I got published in. Oh, I put that twice. Okay, well, there you have it. I guess I liked it, but I put it twice. So, you know, use this as like kind of a featured scroll. Here's what I'm featuring. Or if you see something interesting, put it there. But don't not have anything there, because again, it's another section that you can use.
Speaking of Forbes, how do you get an article published there?
Well, you apply to be on the council, and then you have to pay them a considerable sum of money to get accepted. And it's a pay to play. And so, so I'm on a council, and I get 12 articles a year. The key is I have to write the articles. So far I've gotten one published. So there lies the problem. Yeah, this is my Forbes article, my very first one, and yeah, great plans. But you know, again, and this is what I talk about, the 3 engagement traps on LinkedIn and how to avoid them. But yeah, it felt great getting this up. So now, you know, I pay a lot of money to be in the Forbes Council, so now I got to make sure I'm using it. But if you're at that level, you know, senior level, they have a finance council, they have a tech council. It's not hard to get accepted. I mean, they're going to look at who you are and what your background is and stuff like that. So if you're not, you know, you don't have anything to do with that area, like you're selling to those people, you're not going to get in. But if you have some kind of relevance, you know, it's a good investment. I use it as my marketing budget. Okay, so that's that. LinkedIn Learning, great way to up your skills. You know, if you have an opportunity to do that, there's different things here. And like I said, library gets it for free. Here's another thing, the economic graph in LinkedIn. There's some interesting data here. There's hiring year over year in finance is up 16%, but you can look at some of the other industries here. So, and again, here's some of the local companies that are hiring. So, you know, this is just, you click on this link and you can go there. Mobile app is different. Your settings are different. And by the way, there's a cool feature where you can actually record a message to somebody from your mobile device. So you have your mobile, and then there's this little microphone thing. And I get these, it's interesting. There's little, you know, somebody will say something. And I got a couple of them yesterday, and I thought, that's really cool. So that's another fun feature, but it's only on mobile. Bonus tips, use polls. Use polls. Here's one I did for a client. And again, we were tapping into a pain point. In supply chain shipper choice, there's a meaning for that. And so it was, here's the information that we got. And then from there, what we did, we got some pretty good engagement on this. You know, this was really good. We got 87 votes. So what we did was we took it a step further, and we actually published an article. And again, if you don't have a blog, you can still write an article or something. And we did this article. And then we took out the data points, did a nice little graphic, and then we took it a step further and went in a little deeper. and then we gave some tips. So that's a way that you can use polls. Don't ask stupid things in polls. The people that are doing that are really, it doesn't add any value. There's people that said, do you like polls? It's like, oh my gosh, if I see that again in my feed, I'm going to scream. There's something where it is open to in your profile. If you're open to opportunities. Now, someone asked about the green thing around your profile. I'm not a real fan of that. And I'm not a fan of saying that I'm open to opportunities, because to me, it sounds, what's the word I want to use tactfully? I don't want to come across as needy, or, I want to come across as people want to, if you're hard to get, people want you. If you're easy and too available, it's like, oh, all right, well, there must be something off there if this person is, so available or whatever. I'm not saying make it up that you're hard to get, but be a little bit more discerning about that. And like I said, if you're in between and you're a consultant, and I think I responded to somebody about that, create your own thing. It's real easy, and again, this I created a long time ago, and this actually became, I incorporated under that name. Nobody was using it except me. But again, it's just a way, it's a perception. And I was in transition because I had actually gotten fired from this job here, whatever it was, the restaurant job, best thing that could ever happen. But it was awkward because I was applying for jobs and it was like, I don't want to look like I'm out of work. So I just put, Judi Hays. I didn't have the ink then. I just said Judi Hays, LinkedIn marketing. And I did my little picture there. And the rest is history. And then when I got enough contract work that it was like, wow, I don't need to, be looking for a job anymore. I got more inbound. Then I decided to incorporate, had a good accountant. So anyway, that's what I would say is, the open to hire is good. Open to work. And I've tried to search for that too. For my client that was hiring people, we couldn't find profiles that had it. There was no built-in way to search. We were posting a job, we were paying for the job, and we couldn't search profiles that actually had the open to work, which was like so frustrating. So my answer is no, I wouldn't put that, and I wouldn't put looking for opportunities. I would just put your name and create a company page for that, okay, and put down your expertise there. The other thing is use the save feature. I use this a lot. I love the save feature because a lot of times I'll find things and it's like, so if I like this article right here, that's pretty cool actually. I'm going to go here and I'm going to save it for later. Okay. Then I go into my items, which is on the home left, and I go into save posts, and it should be showing up there. It should be coming up here somewhere. Okay, there it is. It's showing up. And I do that a lot if I want to go back and engage with something, or if I want to compile something or whatever. I have way too many of these things saved now, but you can also save it on mobile. And I think that's a great thing. So if you're in between meetings or something and you're looking at your feed, you say, oh, I want to write a comment for this, but I don't want to do it on my mobile, save it. And then when you go back to your desktop, you can do it. Okay, 6:42. All right. The other thing is bookmark people that you want to engage with. Here's the thing I want you to do. Here's a routine. 30, 60 minutes a day. If you're looking for a job, $100,000 job, right? Can you spend an hour a day? That's 5 hours a week to do that. That's 20% of your time. You can rotate. One day you can do this, one day you can do this, whatever. But if you put in, you will get out. Okay, now for the live events. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so let's see what we got here. We have, and I made some notes. All righty, so here we go. Come on, screen, work with me. All right, so here we go. So Peter, are you on the call, Peter? You have to be on the call.
Yes, I am.
All righty, way to go. I love this picture. I know there's a story there. There is an absolute story. I'm going to send you the bullet points that I have here, so you don't necessarily have to worry about taking notes, but we'll just go through it. Yeah, so a couple of things is, why are you screaming? Don't scream. Initial caps. Okay. Hey, I'm honest. I'm just gonna tell you, you don't need to have all the caps. This is like, okay. The other thing is, think about what is it that I know there's something deeper here. Think about either it's a vertical industry that you like to work with, or something a little bit deeper in terms of making your headline a little bit more specific, going back to what I talked about. Fortune 500 companies, nonprofits. I mean, who are you targeting there? So think about that. What I think also here you did this is great. I really like that. I like that you picked New York because you get the geographic, a wider net than putting New Jersey. I think you should all have your connections open because this way, when people are looking at that, you can see who you have in common here or who you want to, like I can look at this and I can see here's who we know together. We know a lot of people together, by the way, wow. But anyway, I would suggest to all of you to open up your connections. Nobody's stealing your connections. Nobody can steal a connection, okay? Because it's up to the person whether or not they want to connect with you. So I noticed quite a bit of you had that not visible. So I think you did a good job there. What I would do is I would add a featured section, okay? You know, again, find some interesting articles or something that you want to share there or a post that you've seen. Your activity here is, what did I say about your activity? You're okay. I would encourage you, instead of just liking things, maybe a little bit more on the commenting. You know, you did a really good job there, and this is great. I love how you elaborated here. And then guess what?
The one that was asking about, I send private messages.
You can do that
you're
too.
saying I really should be using the public.
You know, if it's something you don't want on a billboard, then send a private message.
Okay.
If it's something that, you know, if like, let's say, you know, something weird, I don't know, somebody, you know, deceased or whatever, I don't know. You don't want to put that public. You say, hey, I heard about the news, blah, blah, blah. Hope you're doing okay. That would be a message. But something like this, the way you did this, I think it's great. And guess what? He responded, which is even better. So that's really good. That's what you want. That's why you do that. Okay. So, and again, that shows up here in notifications. You know, I'm going to get all these things that are happening on all this stuff that I'm doing here. So that's why I think you're doing great. I just want to encourage you to do more instead of just liking. Like, what do you like about this? Wow, this is, you say, hey, I can't wait to take a flight to Paris from Newark. Who's game with me? You know, I don't know.
Worked on this with these people.
Then mention that.
Part of the redevelopment of Newark Liberty. I'm hesitant to because, again, I don't want to be, my company Port Authority doesn't want me announcing these sorts of things. So,
well, again, you have to weigh that. You have to weigh that into what is private that shouldn't be disclosed. If that thing is out there and they don't want you to say that, there's other things that you can, you know, find to talk about. Yeah, and I noticed you've got the aviation here, and then you had the banking. You know, so again, are you working here with Port Authority?
I'm still with the Port Authority at this time, yes.
Okay. So I would probably, what do you want to stay in I guess you would call that government or a municipal? You want to stay in municipal? You want to go back to?
A number of things. Columbia University, that gentleman, Mike Malafakis, that's interesting me right now. The Archdiocese of New York, Amazon. These are all different things where you look at my schedule. I've bounced around from capital markets, banking, insurance. I learn quickly. I'm able to apply what I've learned to these areas. So probably that's the headline I want to use instead of.
I would love that. You're agile, you're responsive. And yeah, I mean, play around with it a little bit more. You know, again, just give it a little bit more nuance. Okay. This is okay. You know, I gave you like a half and half on this. I'd love for you to turn it around. So it's less I, me, my, and it's more you, your. So again, you're talking to your ideal employer. And here's the difference, you know, like with Arrest, you know, here's the difference between a strategic financial planning executive versus a transactional. Here's the so you're making them informed to be a better buyer or hire of your service. Okay, so I would definitely work on this and take a look at those books as reference and look at the examples that I put in the presentation. That'll show you. You'll get to see the pattern. You'll see 5 or 6 of them. You'll be like, I get it. Okay. All right. The other thing that I said here is good activity. Oh, the college thing. This is interesting. Bronx High School of Science is pretty. It's a cool entity, right? So what I would do here is connect to that because I think that's a good thing. I don't know if I'd have St. Barnabas. I mean, now I know your age and all this. Ageism sucks, to put it nicely. People don't need to know that, but I think Bronx High School of Science is pretty cool. So, but definitely connect to them. And here's the entity. You know what I'm talking about, right? When I say connect to them. Yeah, you have to go in there. And all of you that have those ghosts, just look up the entity and you can find it, and there it is, and you're going to connect to that. So this way, let's say a recruiter who now happens to be an alum of Bronx High School Science. Wow, I'd love somebody that's from there. How cool is that, right? So again, and these, I found AAAE has an entity. So connect to AAAE. And then you can say certified, just again, get rid of these gray boxes. The other thing was you need some more current recommendations. Maybe Port Authority, since you're leaving there. Yeah, so hey, can you write something? What do you think of my work? What'd you like about me? Be prepared to bullet out a couple of sentences there. It doesn't have to be long. It's just basically attesting to that you're good at what you do. And then make sure you look at your skills. I don't see the skills here. Again, this is if you're looking for recruiters, that are looking for that. Like I said, that's passive because they're probably looking at a lot of things. You got a long way to go here, but I like that you've embellished these. I mean, these are very specific, which is really good. I mean, ones like finance, that's okay. It's not bad, but you got, strategic financial planning, good, business process.
We're at 10 minutes, just so you know.
So does that give you some good insight there, Peter?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. So let me go to number 2 here. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Lou. All right. Keeping me honest. Karen. Okay. Karen, I love the way this looks. You've got a strong calling card. I think, filling out your contact information, you did great. What did I say here? Oh, open the visibility of your network. I'd refine your headline to be a little bit more specific, like I said before. Naming the industry vertical or something just a little bit more nuanced, because if you Googled controller, not Googled, but if you put controller in here, you're going to get a million of these. And assistant controller, kind of redundant. I'd lose that. Just again, this is more keywords. I think of a little bit more specific, if that makes sense. This here, again, same thing. This is less eyes and more your. Look at the examples that I showed in the presentation, and I think that'll give you a little bit better idea. Let's see what we have here. I'd love to see you grow your network beyond 500. Okay, so that means, probably sending out at least 25 to 50 connections a week. And that means, going through and looking at what people are posting and mentioning something there, that you want to, that you liked it or you want to connect on that level. This, I would not say currently seeking opportunity, because that's what shows there. Not good. So what I would do is I would have, it could be Blaze. You could just do Blaze there, or you could do Karen Blaze. CPA, and I like that you have CPA there too. Any of you that have a CPA or a CFP or anything like that, make sure you put it in your last name, because that has a lot of weight, okay, and it's really important. So what I would do is I would create a company page for yourself, and then you could, say, I don't put self-employed, but I say privately held, and then you could leave the things that you have here. Let's see, this all looks good. Volunteer, if they have a page, connect to it. Again, I think I just endorsed you for that, so you're probably getting a tickler on that. Take a look at what you have. You can max out 50 and make sure the top 3, and then you rotate them as you get past 99. Try to get another current one in 2021. And I think that listings, yeah. And then again, for all of you, make sure you download your database and take a look at that low-hanging fruit, sorted by company, sorted by job title. Okay, that sound like a plan?
Sounds great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, hot seat. All right, we got Brian on the hot seat.
7 minutes.
All right, Brian, senior real estate as opposed to a junior real estate and real asset capital raiser. He's a hell raiser. I like that. Brian, you got a billboard here. Do something. You're in real estate. You can find a beautiful picture. Go to that canva.com and put something beautiful there.
Gotcha.
I would also zoom in a little bit. You got a nice looking face there. So zoom in a little bit and let me see a little bit more of your face. Okay. Again, I have to find something. All right. This is good. That's all you need now. Excelsior, is that where you want people to contact you? Or
yeah, that's the privately held / self-employed business.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so now you need to create go into that Canva thing again, just like I showed you. They even have a template for a company page. Excelsior Capital Partners, it could be ECP, make up a logo if you don't have one. Very, very simple. I like that. The other one is your about section. I think we talked about this. This is okay. I don't care for third person. And again, this is this is okay, but maybe turn it around a little bit. Like think about what you're looking for. You know, and this is fine in terms of a headline if as you're connecting to people, they understand what that means. You know, so you raise money for is it REITs, real estate investment, or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so you know, you do this in, is it particular industries? You're working with early stage, you're working with, you know, Series C. I mean, whatever it is, private equity. That's all really good words. So maybe it's like, here's the best way if you want to raise capital. Here are 3 things you better make sure you're doing. Boom, 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 boom. Wow, you see that? That's powerful. Okay, good here. I love that you're engaging, you're sharing, you're commenting. Get past 1,000. You got 2 more to go. I would add more current recommendations, and I'd download your database. I would add the featured section, and other than that, and again, you know, make sure that this is applicable. I don't want you to get carried away in the skills and endorsements. Use it as a way of reaching out to people. All of you are going to be endorsing each other. Okay, because that's a pay it forward thing. And I think you'll start to see that go up. But before we start that, I want you all to look at the order and what you have there for your skills to make sure that you have ones that are unique. You know, search them, click on it and say, okay, what comes up? When you click on it, here's all the people that have this. Actually, I'm sorry, no, that's the people that endorsed you for it. If you type in investor relations here, look at who has that. Are you showing up for the right things? Okay, 2014, yeah. You've done wonderful things since then.
Okay.
Okay, sound good? How am I
Thank you
doing?
very much. Yeah, no, appreciate that.
Okay, and use, all of you, use the pronunciation feature. You do it on your mobile, okay? All right, okay, so here, I like this. I like this. I think this is really good. Operational models, but this is very specific, okay?
Thank you.
So good job on that. Excellent job here. You know, you've got this information, you're reachable. As I said before, everyone's gonna send you birthday greetings. About section, and this is interesting, you have a story here. So I would maybe, first of all, I'd put in a couple more line breaks in it and see how, because again, I'm not opposed to stories are good. You know, it's better than just a list of like accomplishments or bullet points. So add line breaks so it's a little bit easier to read. And then, you know, I think when you talk about operational model transformation, you might want to say, here are the key things to be aware of when working with operational model transformation, or something like that, that really demonstrates, you know, what you're talking about, because I have no idea what that is. Okay. So, you know, again, it's like somebody were to hire you, they'd want to know that you're very well versed in that. So here are the most important aspects of blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And then featured, this is okay. You probably will do better if you put another one in here. Did you write this from Accenture? Is this the one?
I did, yes.
Okay, so yeah, put another feature this way. It compresses it a little bit because it looks a little odd there with no visual. Okay, this is great that you're sharing these things. 600 followers, continue to build. Because remember, only 10% of your followers will see what you post. And every connection you make is going to expand your network, another give or take 400, you know, to the 2nd degree connection. So continue to do that. You have this here. What else do I have here? Download your database. If you can connect these, I don't know if they have Holy Family, I'm not sure. And I don't know if you really need that. I think this is important. Okay, so see if there is a page on LinkedIn. Sometimes what I do is I'll search the name on Google and I'll type in Institute Chartered Accountants LinkedIn and see if it comes up, and it'll bring up a page, then connect it. This is great too. You know, if you are Six Sigma, that should be up here. Because I don't know many women that are. So I would think that that is a real marketable asset that you have there. And it could be something where you have, you know, you could have text in your image here as well. But I think that that's definitely a positive thing, because not everybody gets that. That's hard to get. So I would definitely, and CISA, do you have that? Yeah, CISA, you might want to add these things, okay. You know, again, because you've got the certification and no expiration date. So add that as a credential. And other than that, great. Look at this, 2021. The only thing I would say here, this doesn't look sketchy, but you got a sequence here. So that's fine. You know, 23, 24, 25. It was, you know, 3 of them in a row. Fine. Work on getting some more. Okay. Maybe 1 a month. but I think these are fabulous. I think they're fabulous. So you have a very good profile. You just want to grow your network, continue engaging, and expand a little bit here. How'd I do? 1 minute to spare.
1 minute to spare. That was
Okay, here's the
great.
quick random promotions here. Wait. Here's what I want you guys to do. Your turn. I have a survey. This just helps, as I do these things for FANG, I like to know if I'm doing a job, talking too fast, giving you some value. And if you learn something, please leave me a recommendation. You can't kill a kid for asking, right? If you learn something. And
Keep
then
that up a second,
here's
because
your
I'm
free
going to put it in
worksheet.
the chat.
Okay, here's the free worksheet here. If you want to grab that. So anyone that wants to take a screenshot, just grab a screenshot. Okay, yeah, the survey will be helpful. Okay, and then
Everybody, please click on that before we leave so that it's up on your machine and so that you can give Judi great feedback, because I know that just about everybody who started out on this call is still on it. So
wow, I held you
That
all.
link doesn't work.
That link doesn't work. Yeah, it
Which
says
link? This one here?
No, the
the
one in
one
the
in
chat.
chat.
Okay, so here, let me do it this way. Let me do it in the chat.
yeah, why don't you put it in the chat?
Try that. See if
Is
that
it bit.ly or just bit.ly?
Well, you have to have the whole link. I just put the link in the chat. I don't know. HTTP.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what it looks like. That's what you're looking for. And then the last but not least is look at this.
There you go.
It's coming soon. It's coming soon. I think as what I hear from the publisher, it's coming next month. So this is going to be, elevate your brand, expand your network, engage your most powerful relationships on LinkedIn. So
Who's your publisher?
self.
Ah.
That's the way to do it. I'm telling you. Yeah. No, I'm working with a packager and an editor, and he's putting it all together. He's doing the layouts and all the editing and all that stuff. So yeah,
Good
next
for
month.
you.
Yeah. So anyway, I really enjoy everyone. You're going to get a message on LinkedIn. I'm going to put you in the pod, in the group. And if you don't want to be in it, just remove yourself. That's fine. But what I'll do is I'll put some of the things that we talked about, maybe some examples there, ask questions. Because most of the questions that people are going to ask, like some of these, I think we covered most of these here. These were the questions that you asked me. Is there anything that we missed? Because I think I did capture all these. Yes, no?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay, all right. So there you have it. Thank you everyone for your time this evening. I hope that you feel a little bit more empowered to take on LinkedIn, and to really realize that you have the power. You really do.
Judi, in the socially conscious world, thank you so much. You're a rock star. You were amazing tonight, as usual. For those of you who don't know, Judi was here back in February, right? And when I contacted last month, August, it's a pretty slow time for the FANG. We had a whopping 1 member show up for our meeting. And so, there were 4 of us on the call. I knew that I had to do something to get people back and engaged. And what better person to do it than Judi? You're amazing. Thank you so much.
I'll tell you what, it's a great platform, and you really can do amazing things if you really, have a strategy. Say, here's what I want to accomplish. I want to go after whatever company it is, whatever role, and do it.